strong, confident, unstoppable. At Handful.com, we believe your sports bra should keep up with you. Whether you're crushing workouts or owning your day, Handful gives you the support, comfort, and style you deserve. And now, it gets even better. The Missouri Mayhem Sisters have your back with 30% off your order. Just use code 54321 at checkout. Handful.com. Grab life by the handful.
Welcome to Missouri Mayhem, Mystery, and Murder. I'm Megan.
And I'm Mindy. A big thank you and welcome to all of our listeners. Whether you listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Patreon, or somewhere else, we appreciate all of you.
Yes, thank you to all of our listeners. You're the ones that keep our podcast going. Whether you live in Missouri, Colorado, Jamaica, or Japan. We have a Jamaica listener.
Oh.
We now have like 3 California listeners. I know, yeah, and Japan.
I don't know what y'all is in Japan.
But we are so grateful for all of your support,
Cool.
you guys.
We also want to say happy Easter to everyone, even though today is Easter Monday. We hope you all had an amazing holiday weekend.
Yeah, happy Easter to everyone. And you guys, that's kind of why we're doing this case. And this is a very heavy topic to be an Easter case and to be bringing to you the Monday after Easter. But this is when this case happened. And it actually happened 120 years ago on Easter in 1906. And you guys, I do want to give a mayhem warning. We're going to be talking about a lot of awful things, including lynchings, hangings, just violence of all sorts. So definitely a lot of mayhem. So want to warn everybody out there. Okay.
Okay.
Now, before we get started, because we've never done a case in 1906.
No, we have not.
There is a lot of interesting information about what was happening in the world during this time. So here's some major events happening in 1906 in Missouri. Robert McClure Snyder, a wealthy Kansas City developer, was one of the first people ever in Kansas City to die because of an automobile accident.
Oh, my goodness.
And this was because he wasn't even driving. His driver swerved to miss a child in the middle of the street and ended up killing him somehow.
Oh,
and if you
nice.
think back then, when the automobiles were just coming out now.
Yeah.
A lot of people, kids were in the street. There weren't all the road rules and laws like they are now. And so I'm like, to be one of the first to die in an automobile accident. Yeah, that's crazy. Some notable births, or one notable birth for those of you out there. The famous director and writer John Huston was born in Missouri in August 1906. Yeah. Some other world events in 1906. There was the Great San Francisco earthquake, which killed an estimated 3,000 people, and the fires from it took over 80% of the city. So that's that great San Francisco earthquake. That was in 1906. Also, the first powered flight in Europe, Alberto Santos Dumont achieved the first officially recorded powered flight in Europe, flying 60 meters to Paris.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
I like the way you said that with an accent.
I think Alberto Santos Dumont.
That was very good. Alberto Santos Dumont.
Launch of the HMS Dreadnought, which was a boat. Britain launched the HMS Dreadnought, a revolutionary battleship that rendered all existing ships obsolete. And this is what sparked a global naval arms race. So everybody tried to beat Britain and what they had built there. June 30th, 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt signed into effect the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Meat Inspection Act into law. Before then, there had basically been no federal oversight of food and medication at all. So he's like, you know what? Maybe we should look into that. Yeah. And then that same year, Roosevelt won the Nobel Peace Prize. So anyways, a lot of things happening in the world.
Yeah.
That was in 1906.
But my big question is...
Baby names?
Baby names!
Well, tell me, what are some baby names you think are on this list from 1906?
Okay, I definitely think that Mary is on the list.
It's number 1 for girls. Mary's number 1.
Okay, and I definitely think John is...
Number 1.
John is number 1?
John and Mary.
Okay,
William. What else? Number 2. Let's keep going.
Oh, sorry, that was last. Girls, Mary, Elizabeth.
Number 7.
Elizabeth's number 7?
Yep.
Is Jennifer up there?
Not 1906. That's too soon.
I don't know.
So we've got, for the boys, we have John, William, James, George, Robert, Charles, Joseph, Frank, Edward, and Thomas.
Okay.
Okay. And for girls, Mary, Helen, Margaret, Anna, Ruth, Dorothy, Elizabeth, Alice, Mildred, and Florence.
It's like the Golden Girls cast.
And Flo's Diner.
Okay, if you had to pick one name from 1906 that you would have to
in
be
these
called,
top 10?
yes.
Well,
which one would you pick?
we gave our boys modern first names and
I know you
family
did.
middle names,
Yeah.
like William and David. But girls, I would go with probably Elizabeth or Margaret because they can have lots of different nicknames.
You could be Lizzie or Maggie.
Yes. What about you?
Florence is out.
I mean, Flo.
Yeah.
Unless you're Florence in the Machine, you're out.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Helen.
Grace, Grandma was Helen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like that.
I kind of like Helen. I could see that
Yes.
coming back someday.
I could too. Very much so. So, interesting 1906. All right. Now, let's get into this because you guys, like I said, for an Easter episode, this is heavy, but this is also reality when it comes to Missouri's history.
Okay.
And we can't act like something didn't happen just because it was bad. So, that's why we're covering this case. Easter weekend, April 13th through April 15th, 1906. Okay, this is where we're at. Church bells are ringing across none other than our lovely land of Springfield.
Are you joking right now?
Congregations are gathering for Good Friday services in Springfield. Women have on their best Sunday dresses. Children cannot wait for the egg hunts this weekend. Pastors, of course, are rehearsing their pulpit sermons about resurrection, sacrifice, and hope. Typical Midwest Sunday. But in the center of town, in Park Central Square.
And that is where the Hickok shooting.
Duel.
Yep, the Hickok shooting.
Bad shit went down in this square because in Park Central Square in Springfield, something else is gathering. Not a congregation to worship, to be so grateful that it's Easter Sunday, but we are talking about an Easter Sunday mob. Now, before Easter Sunday ends in 1906 in Springfield, 3 innocent Black men, and let me say that again, innocent men, Horace Duncan, Fred Coker, and Will Allen would be hung and burned in front of thousands.
Oh, my goodness.
And this is not just a story about a crime or something bad that's happened. You guys, this is Missouri's history, a history that unfolded on Easter weekend. And just like resurrection requires confronting death, healing requires confronting the truth. So that's why we're talking about this story, because again, if we bury things that we don't like, that are bad, that we hate to admit happened, then we're no better than anybody else.
True.
Remembering's not optional, necessary. So here we go. Good Friday, April 13th, 1906. Good Friday. A white woman named Mina Edwards and her companion, Charles Cooper, claim they have been assaulted by 2 Black men.
Claimed.
And that is all that it took to get this going.
They just said.
A claim that a Black man or men assaulted them. Was there any physical evidence? No. Was there an investigation to make sure to see, did this really happen? No. Did they talk to any of these men? Did they try to get
they just
information? Really, for the most part, we're just taking these white folks' word for it.
Because they're white.
Because they're white. So within hours, the police arrest 2 men. Horace Duncan, 20 years old. Fred Coker's 21. They both worked together at a local livery stable, which I believe is like a horse stable.
Yeah.
And both had confirmed alibis by their employer at the livery. Their employer said, this could not have been Horace and Fred because they were here at work during that time. Did that matter? No. It did not matter. They had an alibi. They claimed their innocence. They are placed in the Springfield-Greene County Jail. Later, a grand jury would conclude that this alleged assault was fabricated and that more than likely these men were completely...
They just made it up.
And, we find that in our history, and it's sad. Terry and I play, we just call it I don't even know what we call it, but basically when we're driving on a road trip and we're bored, we'll come to a sign that'll say, here's the next town. And so I Google that town or Wikipedia, and then I read the history of the town. Oh, that's cool. How was it founded? When you go from Missouri south, almost every town has terrible stories of lynching. It's so sad. It's so sad. Like we love Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Yeah.
But all those towns, they have terrible histories. And you guys, like we
Yeah.
said, this is a sad, sad reality of things that happen. Innocent, especially African Americans, were
Yes.
this happened a lot, and it's so
Wow.
sad. And again, in 1906, innocence did not guarantee
Mm-mm.
anything. Now, you guys, again, lots of mayhem. This isn't like, oh my gosh, there was mass chaos and they thought these two black men assaulted these
Right.
people. This isn't like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden we're kind of going insane because we think something terrible happened and we're going to lynch these two men. This was a cultural primed reaction. This is
Mhm.
something that across the United States, especially again border and southern states, what they called racial terror lynchings had
Mhm.
become tools of control to control African Americans. So an accusation involving a white woman and a black man was one of the most volatile triggers that you could have
Yeah.
at the time. And it did not
And
require
all you had to
proof.
do was just say.
Just say it. All it required was
So if you
prejudice.
didn't like black people and you were racist, then you could just say that
You could
and
accuse anyone of anything. And again, we're talking about this is ingrained, probably generational prejudice and racism is what
Mhm.
this is. So we
And I
have
bet these people that claimed were probably pretty cool in the town.
right,
You know what I mean?
right,
Like
uppity or
uppity
yes.
Mina and what's his name?
Nina and Charles.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, so we have Friday night, they're accused, they're put in jail, even though they have alibis. By Saturday night, the word spreads of what these two men have been accused of. And I saw all kinds of different things. So we have between 400, which is a lot, and white residents of Springfield decide to gather outside the jail and form a mob. And not just a mob, a violent mob. They come armed, they're organized, they brought sledgehammers. The sheriff, who has the two prisoners in custody, attempts to protect them, barricade the door. No, you are not coming in here. It didn't matter. The mob breaks in the
No.
jail. They overpower law enforcement. They drag Horace Duncan and Fred Coker into the streets in front of hundreds of people. Witnesses later described the men as terrified, pleading, praying.
This is hard.
This is so terrible. They were taken to what was known as the Gottfried Tower in Park Central Square in Springfield, and there, beneath that city clock, they were hung in front of hundreds of people. And not only did they hang them, they burned their bodies. It's important to stop here because this is not, you sometimes see in movies that people get hung in the woods amongst a tree, a couple people see it, whatever, like, on TV.
Right.
This is not that. This was public on Easter weekend. Center of town, message was intentional. You don't mess with white people. That was the message.
Wow.
The mob's not finished. They've burned and killed these two men. Well, they remembered, oh yeah, there was another black man in jail for something else.
So we're just gonna get
So
him
they
too?
returned to the jail.
Oh.
Now, as they were coming in to get the two men originally, many inmates escaped because, again, this mob basically took over the jail. Well, some were able to escape. One man, sadly, a black man, was trapped in his jail cell due to a jammed door. He could not get out. According to records, this man is stuck in this jail cell, cannot get out, and a mob takes 2 hours to break into there. So he's there for hours, knowing as soon as they get through that door, I'm toast. I can't get out. Behind that door, they seize a third black man by the name of Will Allen, who's only 25 and was being held on completely unrelated charges, had nothing to do with this alleged assault. I don't know why he was there, but they drag this man. They do the same thing to him. He was lynched in the middle of town.
So 3 men now.
For no reason. 3 men. No trial, no defense. Not only does this happen, this is Saturday night. They leave the bodies burning in the square overnight. On Easter Sunday morning, thousands of white spectators, including many women and children, visit the site where these men are being displayed. Some treat this is so sick, like an event.
Mhm.
Some take souvenirs, pieces of burned rope that were from around their neck, fragments of burned
Oh
bone.
my gosh.
They called them souvenirs.
Oh Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I keep saying, "Oh my gosh." I'm
It's
sorry, I do, but
it's
ugh.
awful. And, it's the contradiction that on that Sunday morning, as churches were proclaiming he's risen, happy Easter, this square has bore witness to hatred, racism, and something so evil that you can't even comprehend it.
Springfield.
Oh, come on.
What the and this Park Central Square, whatever.
What?
What?
Bad mojo.
Don't go down there.
For most of us, Easter represents sacrifice, redemption, resurrection. But here we have something so much darker, and how faith and violence can coexist. How people can justify
Because
with their faith.
those people probably went to church and prayed at Easter,
For sure.
but they
Yeah.
just got done viewing.
How can people walk from town square and sit in church pews for a Sunday sermon and collect bones from a lynching site? How do sermons about love exist along this obviously racial tear that's taking? It just doesn't make sense.
Mm-mm.
So a grand jury indict 18 men. Okay, better than none. But guess what? One of those 18 is actually tried. He's not even convicted. No. State militia comes in, restores order. Springfield was placed under martial law for 10 days. That's
So
it.
nothing happened.
Happened. But at this point in time, there was a fairly large Black community in Springfield.
Yeah.
Well, this was permanent damage.
Hmm.
Families fled Springfield in fear. The African American population dropped significantly. African American owned businesses closed. Opportunities for these families vanished. It changed.
Nina!
Oh, it changed Springfield. The demographics and economic landscape of Springfield was changed forever. And then came the silence. No talk of it. Nothing. For decades, people had no clue that this had happened in their town square, that 3 men had been lynched in 1906. It was never spoken about. So, how does that happen? Well, Missouri, we have a very complicated history when it comes to equality, slavery, racism, all that.
Yeah.
Because we're a border state.
Yeah.
And a border state means we got part North, part South, part slavery, part anti-slavery,
Okay.
part racist, part, who believes in equal rights. This event showed that, this can't happen here. This
Yeah.
isn't, even though we have some people that believe that this is terrible, it was still allowed to happen in Missouri. So Missouri history includes Civil War division, Reconstruction tensions, segregation, racial violence, and this 1906 lynching is right within that legacy, And there's lots of podcasters and what we like to call ourselves regional researchers or regional storytellers. But, when you dig in to find the actual facts, it's kind of gross. Because according to the Equal Justice Initiative, also known as EJI, from 1880 to 1968, so about 80 years, the state of Missouri had the second highest rate of racial lynchings.
Really?
At 60.
What was the first state?
I'm not sure. I know down south, Mississippi,
Yep.
Alabama, those are very high. But you guys, second highest for
That's
80
terrible.
years. So it is a reality that's hard to talk about and think about, but it is a reality. For decades, the only memory of Horace, Fred, and Will, the only memories of them that were out there were mainly preserved through the Black community, the African American community. They had to grieve in silence and private.
Because they were afraid of being lynched
yes,
themselves.
they're like, they wanted to.
If we grieve, then it looks like we supported them, and then we're gonna die.
Yeah, and they had to flee the community. So they're now homeless, trying to find, just the whole thing, the whole aftermath. Finally, 100 years later, more than 100 years later, acknowledgement begins of this horrific event. Here's slowly. It's taken a while. So, Park Central Square, this horrible place. Finally, in 2019, a permanent historical marker was dedicated at the site of the lynchings on the northeast corner of the square. This was only done through a project collaborated between the Springfield-Greene County Remembrance Coalition. So someone's had to form this coalition to remember people.
Yes.
And the, again, Equal Justice Initiative. So it's not even like Springfield, the town, said, we need to remember this.
Right.
It took that 2019. Okay, also, for 90 years, these victims, these 3 men, their graves were unmarked. Again, let's act like this didn't happen. In 1996, so 90 years later, students from Hillcrest High School in Springfield were inspired by a historian named Katherine Lederer and led an effort to actually get proper headstones at the cemetery. So that finally happened 90 years later.
Wow.
In 2020, community members from Springfield gathered soil from the lynching site, put the soil in labeled jars, and they put it at an exhibit in the Black Archives of Mid-America in Kansas City. So I think that's awesome. They also created a duplicate jar of that same soil from the lynching site, and it is held at the National Memorial for Peace and Justice in Montgomery, Alabama.
So they were able to get soil from that exact lynching?
I think they, what they were like was probably, hey, we can go down so far, and that would be the soil that
From
was here
1906.
when they died.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, the History Museum on the square, which is located right at the site, is supposedly actively expanding its exhibits and plans on including the 1906 victims.
But it's not there right
no,
now?
we'll see. We'll
Okay.
see. Pretty much the EJI, the Equal Justice Initiative, says lynching is defined as this: terrorism used to enforce racial hierarchy. And that sums it up. Okay, something, though, powerful did happen out of this tragedy. In 2022, the Missouri State Choir, so Missouri State University in Springfield, their choir performed a work titled Easter 1906.
Oh.
What started as a song, one song about the 1906 lynching, became a full 50-minute musical presentation, a choral experience walking audiences through the complete events of that horrific weekend. This 16-piece movement is a musical work. It was released as an album in 2022 by the Missouri State University Chorale, and it recounts the tragic lynching of Horace, Fred, and Will in the town square of Springfield on Easter Sunday in 1906.
Good for them.
Isn't that amazing? The composer's name is William Averitt, and here are some of the songs: Ozark Pastoral, The Hanging of Horace Duncan and Fred Coker, Run On, Easter 1906, which is considered the title movement, and the final piece is called A Dawn of Hope. Through layered harmonies, spoken narration, and solemn reflection, the choir confronted the tension between resurrection theology and racial violence. The music does not celebrate, and I've listened to it.
You did?
Yes, we're going to post it. You do have to buy it. Each song costs like $1.50, but I have bought the Easter 1906 one, so I will post it. It's amazing. It laments. It's melancholy. It's heavy. Because that's what they want. They want you to ask, what does Easter mean in a place like this that could be so marked with injustice?
Yes.
So, yeah, we will post a sample of that. Again, it's from the Missouri State Choir. It's called Easter 1906. It's amazing. So I will post that. That's something extraordinary.
Yes, it is.
Big time. 1906, thousands gathered in the square to witness violence. But now here we have, over a century later, people are gathering in concert halls. They're gathering to witness remembrance. So it's pretty cool. Young voices, college students singing about racial terror in their own city. So to me, that's generational courage, art becoming a testimony, and music becoming a really good memorial for them.
Yes, that's great.
So, as always, what should we take from this horrible tragedy? First of all, accusations without evidence can become deadly when prejudice is fueling
I wonder
them.
if these two people ever even felt the least
Guilty.
bit guilty,
Doubtful.
because I don't think they were at all. I think it was totally made up
Oh, 1,000%. I think either one of those men had done something
to piss them
that
off.
pissed them off.
Let's just get rid of them.
You know what? Yeah, we can make an
All you gotta do is,
accusation. Yes.
on a white woman.
And sadly, this still happens in our country all the time.
Yes.
People falsely accused, black, white, anybody.
Mhm.
Okay, so first of all, accusations can be troublesome, obviously. Secondly, silence protects injustice. So when no one's held accountable, then the violence becomes, number one, considered okay, and nobody's held accountable. It feels very much like an injustice. And then, of course, history shapes the present.
Yes.
The exodus of these Black families from Springfield, I mean, like I said earlier, it did. It altered the economic opportunity, the racial representation in the area,
All three of those men were young. Their parents were still alive and knew that was happening.
and probably had families that had been in Missouri for generations, had
Yes.
been slaves, had
Maybe
been, who
way longer
knows?
than these people that lynched them.
1000%. You guys, it really, really, yeah, heavy story, but a lot to learn. And finally, again, for us doing this podcast, something like this, I mean, we even talked about it. I'm like, I don't know. Should we do this episode? It's really heavy and it's Easter.
Yeah.
Like, Easter's about rejoice and resurrection, but this is important.
This is our history.
It is. So we can't undo what happened in 1906.
And this does need to be remembered.
It does.
They can't just die for nothing.
And we are not going to let those names disappear. Horace Duncan, Fred Coker, Will Allen. Mindy, you want to do a quick prayer? And just, I mean, I think in general, just for peace.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, just want to come to you this afternoon, and we just want to bring this lynch story to you, Lord. It's just unbelievable that this can happen. But we know that all of those men, we know where they are now and that you've taken care of that. And we just thank you that you have your hand over us in this situation. And we just love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Like we said, this is Missouri history. It's not someone else's state. It's not somewhere down south we've read about. It's Missouri, Springfield,
Yeah.
Park Central Square, Easter weekend. And like we said, to be honest, you want to try and shrink away from this. You want to try and soften it. Oh, that was a different time. But here's the truth. History doesn't stay buried because we're uncomfortable. If anything we've learned, and I think this is true, silence gives it room to grow. If we're silent, it can manifest.
Yes.
You guys, remembering this today isn't about shame. It's about awareness. And that's what we want to do here. So remember Fred, Will, and Horace. That's who we want you to remember. And this is our history. Don't look away. Let's just do better, right?
Absolutely.
We're going to do better. Happy Easter. We love you all out there. We know it's been heavy, but
Sorry.
hey, this has been Missouri Mayhem. I'm Megan.
And I'm Mindy. Thank you for being part of our podcast community. Please give us a rate and review wherever you listen.
Everyone remember, stay safe, stay kind, and stay curious. I'll be sure to post the music for you. Missouri, you bring the mystery.
And we'll bring the mayhem.
Peace out.